He gets a needle and just tattoos it all over his chest.
This is not Prison Break. Let's see. Can I, like, what I'll do is I'll take my chalk and I'll draw it on the inside of my cloak.
Okay. And you notate it as best you can. I mean, you're not going to be able to get the finer details with a big honking piece of chalk. But you scribble it on the inside of your cloak.
Then I'm going to, when I'm done, I'm just going to...
dexterity check and notate the result.
Okay, 18 plus... You said dexterity.
Yes, a dexterity check.
22. Okay.
How'd you do?
22.
Okay. Yeah, just notate that result for now. And your plan is to come back and slip the scroll back into the sleeping man's pack?
Yes.
And make another sleight of hand check. Again, it's disadvantage because this guard's just laying there.
Well, darn, because that's a 20. Watch this be a 1.
What you do?
I'm going to blip that.
Okay.
So 10 plus 17.
Okay. And you wait for another part of Adrex's story and slide the scroll back into the pack. And you're pretty sure nobody noticed because he didn't immediately jump up and yell at you.
And then I took the axe and I hurled it right at the stage, and it was amazing. Split the thing right in two.
So the next day, everybody wakes up. You break your fast. Raazu, are you still attempting to eat?
Yep.
And it's the same effect. Every time you feel it, the food just turns to ash in your mouth. And you all
Does anybody have any actual parchment or paper on them?
No. Why?
I was just going to make another copy of this.
Of what?
A more permanent copy.
Of what?
I mean, I'm showing you my cloak.
Well, you're showing all the guards your cloak too, then. So you're all woke
Oh
up
no,
together.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Unless you took Raazu off into the woods.
Okay,
I mean,
never
you
mind.
could probably just speak in common, since they clearly don't understand common.
They've given no indication they understand common, no.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll just shrug at Raazu, and thieves can't tell Red what I did.
Why would you do that?
Glad he's on my side.
I'll just shrug. It seemed like a good idea.
Memorize it and shake your cloak off in the wash whenever we get a chance before we break camp.
Adrex is shaking his head.
And I don't share that with anyone
Okay.
in common.
Do you do as Red suggests?
I mean, no.
Okay. So after your breakfast, you guys set out on the road?
I turned my cloak white, so it's not like they can see the... What I do is I just turn my cloak white.
Okay.
So now you can't see the chalk.
And the second day's march continues much as the first did. They stop periodically, probably 4 or 5 times over the course of the day. He sends 3 Moakton out into the wood. At one point, a group of Fearbog children come out of the tree line and up to the Moakton, attempting to sell some wares, some furs and things, and they engage in a little bit of trading. Do you guys partake?
Sure. What do they have?
Do they have meat or some kind of meal?
They have freshly baked bread that they have wrapped up to keep warm.
Raazu is very much eyeballing that bread.
And one of the Fearbog picks up on it and comes over and attempts to sell it to you, speaking in Sylvan. And when they see you don't understand Sylvan, just holds up 3 fingers.
Raazu fishes 3 silver pieces out of her bag, hands it to the child.
Okay. And takes the silver pieces and hands you this piping hot, freshly baked loaf of bread.
Raazu very stares at the bread for a couple of moments and then very gingerly takes a bite out of it.
And it turns to ash in your mouth.
Birdie looks at Raazu and says, "Maybe you
She
should try just
inhales
eating."
very
your-
deeply, and then lets out a string of obscenities in Hobgoblin.
Much to the delight of like everybody standing around. Seems distressed at this. So all attention is focused on Raazu for a moment. Her little outburst ends, and then they go back to trading.
Birdie looks at Raazu and says, "Have you tried just eating the ash instead of spitting it out?"
Have you tried eating ash?
Well, I don't have to.
Can you drink anything?
I would imagine that Raazu has attempted to drink water.
The water you can drink fine. No,
What
the
about-
water skin was fine?
What about broth?
Where do we get broth?
Well,
You could try mushing the bread up in water.
Yeah. Not the first time I've done that.
I could get some cat, and we can make a nice cat broth. Let me see if anybody's got any for sale.
I see. I just came back. We're talking about cat again.
So what is Birdie trying to buy from the Fearbog?
Any kind of broth, but barring that, some meat to make broth.
You have some difficulty explaining the concept to them. The language barrier gets in the way.
I'll translate for him.
And when you do, you learn that these creatures don't eat meat. They don't hunt animals.
Oh, okay.
Just like the trees.
Mhm.
Vegetable
Raazu
broth.
Raazu attempts to soak the bread in water, and her water from her skin, and then eat it that way.
And you try to eat soggy bread, and guess what? Turns to ash in your mouth.
Another flurry of Hobgoblin curse words.
And as the trading concludes, you guys set off again. Red, Defo pulls you aside at some point and motions to Raazu and says, "Your companion seems rather distressed. Is there something we should know about?"
It seems any food turns to ash in her mouth. We've tried a couple of different types of food, but it seems to be an intrinsic property of food here for her.
And he just nods as though this is something he's heard before. Like, oh, okay, I understand. That makes sense. And then he just goes back to leading the group. Any other plans with the group as you march the next day and a half to the palace?
Nope. Raazu's just about where Birdie is right now.
Okay. Raazu, make one more Constitution saving throw
Very wild.
during the next rest.
Sure thing. Yeah. Hey, that's a 20.
A 20, okay. And on the third day, traveling with the Moken, you see the Ice Palace in the distance. The road comes up to it. The last few miles of the road, they stop taking out their map and traveling off the path. That ceases. You also see them, they kind of let their guard down a little bit more. And when you get close enough, Defu turns around and explains to Red that they're coming up on the palace, that they're going to take them inside, place them in one of the queen's antechambers with one of the guards to keep an eye on them while he goes and heralds your coming.
All right.
He says you haven't been giving an invitation, but is there any other particular suspicion that the queen might be expecting your coming?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I don't know how good her scout network is. We have been traveling through these lands for some amount of time.
Okay. And to that, he just nods. They take you to the palace. There's a bridge over a moat around the Snowbelle Queen's palace, which looks pretty much like what you see here. The whole thing is giving off this ambient glow very brightly. And the bridge over the moat, it's just this frozen, crystal clear water all around. Many towers and spires of the palace itself. And it gets noticeably colder as you cross the bridge. When they get close enough, a large icicle portcullis is raised by the Moakton on the other side. They cross in. Inside the outer curtain wall, the main keep still ahead of you, he takes you off to the side where there's a smaller building made out of stone with a thatch roof. And he takes you inside of it, and it's just a small, what looks like a cozy little... Well, I mean, you guys had a cozy little cottage for a little while.
Till I burned it down.
Until you burned it down, right. You're not going to burn this one down, I should hope.
Well, can't conjure fire, so yeah.
Well, there's nowhere here to build a fire. There's no stove in here. There's no hearth.
Give it.
Give it time. You're just. All I hear is a challenge. Is what I hear.
And he stations one of the guards to stay here with you. And Red, you hear him tell instructions very clearly, not to allow them to leave until he's cleared it with Her Majesty.
Okay.
And so you're left in kind of this dingy little hovel for the time being. Would be nice and cozy if you could start a fire. What do you guys do in your time here?
Let's see. We have
Raazu paces, trying not to think about food.
And I'll say in common, no, I haven't let on that we're this repeating situation. So if it comes down to it, I think right now the plan is to not let on that we've realized what's going on.
Raazu nods.
Just so everyone's aware. Also, I wouldn't, and I'll kind of look around talking quietly, I wouldn't trust that no one here understands common. Especially in a more developed part of the world like this.
Make an insight check real quick.
Not very good.
Okay.
That would be like an 8.
And so you guys are just going to wait here until word comes back?
Birdie's going to go in the corner and try to identify wand B.
So you're going to take time to try to identify a wand, eh?
Yeah.
No, I wand B. Ha ha ha.
Oh my god, you're fired.
You love me. By the way, Birdie. Not cool, man. Not cool. I don't like being your accomplice to things.
But you're my favorite.
That's not good enough.
You're the most dragon-like person I know, without actually being a dragon. That makes you
Are you
my
sure
favorite.
he's not a dragon?
So, wand B is the brittle twig with strange fey carvings burned into it.
Yeah, the one that summons. They use and it summons like a scary creature that they ran away.
And how many charges do you attempt to use in identifying this wand? 2?
Yes.
Make an intelligence arcana check.
Okay, so 14 plus. So that'd be a 20 plus whatever you get for using the charges,
Okay.
which I don't have it in front of me, so I apologize.
The bad news is you've used the wand's final charge in order to identify it. It's now empty. This particular wand, though, casts the Guardian of Faith spell. It summons a ferocious tree spirit, which, in identifying the wand, you realize the Moakton of a Seraphal misinterpreted as hostile. It's actually a helpful guardian spirit. I mean, you can read the spell if you like. Unfortunately, the wand is now empty, and you have no idea how to recharge it. Though, you do know that the magic that was charging it was powerful fey in its source.
I'll just stow the wand then, and don't tell anybody that I actually wasted the extra. They don't have to know that.
Basically, it creates a spectral guardian, in this case, a big tree monster. And anybody hostile to that moves within 10 feet of it takes a bunch of damage, essentially. So it's pretty nice. Red, you definitely notice that the guard left with you, he does take notice that Birdie's gone off into the corner and seems to be doing something very intently with his back to everybody else. And you see him eye Birdie, not suspiciously, just trying to keep a handle on things. Everybody can take a short rest inside the little hovel, if you like.
Did we get a second long rest along the way?
You did, yes, the second
Okay.
one.
So I need more hit dice, and I want to spend one of those.
Be nice to spend hit dice.
So I'm
Well, Russell,
all
you were
up.
getting your long rests. You were getting hit dice back. You were getting the benefits of the rest. It was not clearing your exhaustion.
Okay, that changes things a
Yes,
little bit.
you did get the benefits of the long rest. It just doesn't clear your exhaustion because you're starving. Sorry if I wasn't clear about that.
No, yeah, it's all good.
Actually, fuck it. I don't care about your hit dice. You don't get anything back. It's funnier that way.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Womp.
The
I
DM
got
walks in and
28
trips on a
points
banana
back.
peel. After a couple of hours, a very elderly female Moakton comes to the room. Very old. Looks to be Josiah's age, and Josiah was the oldest you'd ever seen. And she speaks pretty decent common. And she welcomes you all to the abode of the Snowbelle Queen. She apologizes for the accommodations as of yet. She asks what sort of tribute the group of you are willing to pay in order for the Snowbelle Queen to offer her hospitality.
I have this wand.
I knew it. I knew it. That's why I was laughing. I knew it.
You present the empty wand. Okay. So Birdie steps forth and says, I have this wand. The Moakton woman seems very interested in it. She bids you to come forward.
Not the wand. No.
I'll stop Adric as he starts saying that, just kind of like push him back a little bit.
This isn't your wand either. This is on loan from the Rangers. And she asks, may I please see it?
Yeah, Birdie hands it over and says, sure.
And she takes the wand and she looks it over. She says that very powerful magics slumber in this device. How did you come by it?
Ooh, it's on loan from another group of Moakton in the prime material plane.
Make an insight check. Actually, no. What's your passive insight?
Passive insight.
It's better than the one you just rolled, so.
13.
13? When you mention getting it from another group of Moakton back across the Veil, I'm assuming every time you guys say prime material plane, your characters are saying across the Veil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you just don't want yourself to be understood. You note a perceptible change in her demeanor. Like she really wants to tug at that thread. She really wants to hear more about that subject, but she doesn't ask. She maintains her composure. But yeah, she clarified. There's many powerful magics in this wand. This is a wealthy gift indeed, and Her Majesty will very gladly accept it as tribute. She says that in exchange for this artifact, the Queen would be able to accommodate you with rooms with a protected stove where you might build a fire. She then looks over at Raazu, and again speaking in common, she says, "And I am to understand that one of you has befallen fey magic in the wilderness?"
That's the only explanation that I can come up with for the reason why I can't eat anything without turning into ash.
She says that Her Majesty has been saddened by word of your plight, and that she is willing to grant you, and only you, a brief audience this evening.
As long as she can understand what I say, because I unfortunately don't speak the language of the land.
She says that Her Majesty has no expectation that those of common stock can speak the words of nobility.
Raazu bites her tongue.
And then she takes the wand, and she bids you all to follow her. So let's go ahead and make a note of where this wand is now.
Jesus.
How many magic items did I get away so far? The third.
And this lady didn't even intimidate you for this one. Holy crap. You're never getting another magic item as long as...
So,
See, joke's on her. Joke's on her. I used it all.
you guys head into
wand's
this
gonna
beautiful
recharge,
crystal
right?
palace. It's deathly cold in here. You feel the bite and the chill even underneath all your layers. It gets to the point where Adrex, even you, are uncomfortable. Whew. But richly beautiful. It's not the dusty and dingy ice that made up the fortress structure you came through across the bridge. It's like an entire palace built of glass. She tells you that inside the palace walls you'll have all the accommodations one could come to expect of high nobility, should you have need of it. They can be called upon to repair armor, fetch food, and other accoutrements. She takes you to your quarters, and she tells you that fire is seen as a grievous sin, especially within the walls of the Queen herself. However, the Queen, in her graciousness, understands that lesser mortals require warmth to survive, and so several of the more richly appointed accommodations in her palace have indeed been equipped with a place where fires can be built, and that you have essentially purchased such accommodation with your gift. She shows you the rooms, in addition to having a wood-burning stove in the center of it, the piping of which exits out directly through the icy roof of the place. But there are large, 6 of them actually, around the perimeter of the room, large 4-post beds, each with its own curtain that can be drawn and is piled high with pillows and silks and thick furs.
Is there wood for the fireplace?
Not in the room, but she says that it can be fetched. I mean, you understand that typically the stoves are not stoked, that this is a special occasion, and she's already sent a runner to find wood for the stove.
Okay.
Raazu, do you accept the Queen's invitation?
I suppose I don't have any choice.
I mean, it's not mandatory. She's not demanding. She's telling you that if you like, you will be granted an audience. If you don't seek an audience, you don't have to go. Or this is a fey trick. She's trying to get inside your head.
Could be. No, I'll accept it.
Okay. Then you were told that a tub is going to be brought so that you can bathe and make yourself presentable for your audience with the Queen. For some reason, you still smell like oatmeal. It's weird.
So what is Birdie asks the Moakton what her name is, because he has a suspicion
What's your suspicion?
that it's what's his name's sister. Just trying to casually introduce him, get her name. That's what he's trying to do. He's not trying to.
And see, I know I have this character's name in my notes somewhere, but it's not here now. That's awesome. I'm the best. I'm the best at names. It tells you that her name is Ubrid Firth. That you may either... you can either call her Ubrid or Mother Firth.
Is that the name that
Yeah, that's Josiah's
sister.
sister. I just can't remember what her name actually is, and it's not written down in my notes for some reason. It was noteworthy because Josiah's family name is Stackpool, who you recall from Asera Fall, but Ubrid's surname is not one that you recognize from the small village.
maybe she was born here? Wait, no.
Do you ask her?
Raazu will approach it like, so how long have you been here in Snowbelle Queen service?
Make a deception check. You don't have to roll particularly high.
That's 17.
So what is it you're trying to glean from her in like a roundabout way? What is it you're trying to learn?
I'm trying to learn basically just how long she's been here.
Well, she tells you she's served the queen her whole life. She's had the pleasure of serving as the queen's seneschal these past 40 years.
Okay. Trucks basically with what we got from Josias.
So the other three of you, you're not being held prisoner in this room. You're told that you basically have run of the grounds. You're told everything that can be found here. Have armor repaired. There are storehouses of various foodstuffs and things if you need to resupply. You're told the directions to find the queen's beautiful gardens that she keeps here on the grounds. And they don't mention it immediately, but you know offhand, because apparently you died there before, that there is a cellar beneath the castle where the scepter was apparently kept. There are also great galleries of fantastical art where the queen has collected many things from over the years. Pretty much all of the delightful amenities of Fey living. So let's get a quick action from everybody. Raazu, you are going for your appointments?
Yep.
With the queen? What is Red going to spend his time doing?
I'm actually going to see if I can't spend the time making a poison out of these spores.
Okay. Make your intelligence poisoner's kit check.
Mm-hmm.
What you're going to be doing with this action is identify what this poison might do, because it's such an alien substance to you for now.
That's a... Proficiency is 3. 8.
An 8?
Yeah.
Okay. And after a couple of hours, maybe not even that long with these spores, it looks like the ones that you've collected are unfortunately inert. You're not going to be able to do anything with them. You would have to try to find another one of those creatures in a living state and attempt to capture it somehow in order to actually milk it for its spores.
Okay.
So what are you going to spend the rest of your time doing? Here on the
after that...
Yeah, because figure this will only take an hour or two.
I'll actually go to the water and resupply on rations and maybe make sure that I have, like, rope and whatnot, since I think we used quite a bit of it in that dungeon.
Okay. What about Adrex?
I knew you were gonna come to me next. On the one hand, he really needs to babysit Birdie because Birdie's gonna get into some shit. On the other hand, he doesn't want to deal with any of that.
What is with
Raazu
the no
can't.
trust?
Um,
Let's go chill in the garden.
You're gonna walk the gardens?
Yeah, because Adrex is not sick of the Feywild at this point and wants to deal with more Fey plants.
And what about Birdie?
I'm gonna like just walk around looking for the entrance to the cellar that we know is here.
You're gonna try to find the entrance to the cellar?
Yeah, not only go into it, but
Birdie, make an investigation check. Well, before you roll, are you asking where it is and trying to find it that way, or are you just gonna not let on that you know it's there and try to just locate it?
the second thing.
Okay, then yeah, make an investigation check. Intelligence investigation.
That would be I think that's a 14. Yeah.
Okay. This will be our last action for the session, because it's probably going to take 10 minutes to kill Birdie here. Red.
Yeah.
You directed to the larders, and they're not inside the main castle. You have to go back out to... There's not really a village outside, but there's a lot of little like stone and thatch structures that you saw. Out in this area, you're directed to... On the entranceway after the moat where you came in, there's like a blacksmithery, there's a grain silo, and some other little buildings like that. A baker's house, which is one of the few places inside where you feel warmth. On the opposite side of the palace, if you either cross through the castle and come out the back way, or you just go around the curtain wall on the inside, you come to what does amount to a little small village, just residences for the Moakton families that live and work here. So you ask about the larders. Essentially, anything out of the PHB that can be purchased, rounded up to the nearest silver piece, and that's the only type of currency they accept, the silver. So anything you needed to resupply on, as far as foodstuffs, clothing, and even weaponry, if you ask at the barracks, they have things like arrows, just simple steel blades. Very little
And,
grows here.
Are there any servants here that are not Moakton? Just as I'm doing this, going through the village and buying things.
Make an intelligence check.
Sure. 13.
You don't see any who aren't Moakton. A lot of the Moakton you see don't seem to be soldiers, though.
Mhm.
And you come across a couple dozen just in your interactions out amongst the folk. If you had to hazard a guess, if you had to line them all up and count them one by one, you would guess there would be probably 150 or so. That's what you were told how many years the Moakton have been giving children to the White Mother.
Mm-hmm.
Very little grows in this region. All of the grain they typically buy from across the gorge. They send traders out. A lot of furriers and hunters do approach the queen from the area in order to pay tribute with meat and furs. So pretty much anything you can imagine wanting to purchase is here.
Does anyone need anything else aside from rations while I'm doing this?
I mean, Birdie's still working on his cat, it sounds like.
I'm still good on rations, so.
Okay. I'm also going to grab 2 quivers of extra arrows for everyone,
Okay, yeah, go ahead and
because we tend to run out of those.
make those purchases. How much silver does that leave you with when you're done? Remember, you can't... There's not going to be a coin changer here.
Yeah, we had about 400 last I looked.
Yeah, quite a lot. They earned a lot last session, too.
We did.
Arrows.
So, just to be clear, I'm not like I didn't just go off by without telling anybody.
20 for arrows, and let's go with rations.
So, Birdie,
Yeah.
you managed to find the kitchens inside the castle, and you learned that it's a very small area where food is prepared. typically just for the queen herself, because the Moakton they prepare food in a different way. She doesn't eat cooked food, she doesn't abide fire, so it's not a typical kitchen. It's just a place where they can gather grains, vegetables, and salted meat to arrange it and prepare it. But off of that area, you do notice some of the servants coming and going from an ice door leading down into the earth. And you surmise that has to be going down to the cellars. And you eventually confirm that when you see some of the Moakton servants coming back holding bottles of wine.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the room and inform everyone.
Well, nobody else is at the room when you get back. Everybody else is doing all their own thing.
Oh. Well, I'm not going to go down there by myself. So.
Okay.
Be a smartest thing you said all session.
Well, you know, I don't think I can get away with stealing the scepter.
Adrex. The center of the castle has a large garden area. And going down there, and I mean, it's gorgeously landscaped. There are flowers and plants here, peculiar things that you're sure you will never see again once you leave the grounds. Are you trying to find the apple tree? Is that what you're doing?
No.
No?
Just hoping to get lost in the maze, I guess. If it's a maze.
It's not really a maze. In fact, the gardens are
All right.
sectioned off into different types of plants. These are not gardens where they're growing vegetables or anything. In fact, you don't see any like natural plants growing here. These all have to be magicked in some way in order to grow in this frigid air.
Mm.
A lot of whites and blues, but unearthly beautiful. And as you're walking the gardens, you hear a voice call out to you. It says, "Has my strapping hero come for me at last?"
Oh my god.
And you turn in that direction, and wearing her white veil, you see Lurvana, the Winter Court elf, who you sojourned with back at Princess Dandelion's abode. And she begins to stride towards you. And you are still charmed by her, by the way.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
And that's all that's happening with Adrex right now. And
Bone up on his expertise.
Raazu, you were taken by the seneschal to the court of the queen. And it is a massive room. I mean, you remember being in Princess Dandelion's room, but it was packed with tables and peoples and large tapestries. This is just a huge, cavernous, echoey chamber with a blue carpet that stretches along the length of this room to stairs leading up to a great icy throne. And sitting upon it is a large, slender figure. And even from this distance, you recognize her as the White Mother. The seneschal, after taking a few steps, she bows her head slightly and then exits the room without turning away from her. And now you're left in this chamber alone, with the White Mother at the far end.
Approach. Down to one knee.
And you're very aware of the sound of your footsteps, even on this soft carpet, as you travel. And you stand before her, and she looks much like she did when she came to you back beyond the veil. 8 feet tall, very slender, wearing this white mask. You take a knee in front of her. She holds a hand up, bidding you to rise.
Raazu stands up.
And then you hear words coalesce in your mind. They don't conform to any particular language that you're aware of. They just kind of settle on the outsides of your consciousness, and you become aware she's speaking to you. She says, "You will forgive me, but I find conversation uncomfortable. We will communicate like this."
As you wish.
Do you say that?
No, I'll think it.
You just think it really hard?
Yep.
She says that you have insulted a baker witch in the wilderness, that you have been magicked, and that you will die of starvation. She says this fate is as sure as the sun rises and sets across the vale. What's your response?
Better the curse fall on me than my friends.
She says that you were noble to go so gladly to your death. You were noble to raise your shield in defense of those weaker than you. Her heart weeps for your nobility. Nothing? Silence?
Yeah, Raazu's trying to process this, but she has no intention of dying. And she thinks just as much that just as much. That this is not the way that she's meant to die. She's a soldier, a warrior. Her death belongs on a battlefield.
Then yours is a sadder story than it seemed at first glance. For a soldier to die in such a meaningless way, your people see this as a deep tragedy.
With all due respect, I don't intend to die.
She asks why you believe your intentions are at all relevant. You are mortal. You will die.
Because I believe that that destiny is on my side. Back across the veil, I saw I had an experience that makes me believe that I'm destined for something great, not an ignoble pauper's death.
She tells you she knows the names of many heroes, the names of many dead men who have died with similar destinies, unfulfilled. That you cannot see that you were one of a countless number only adds to the tragedy of your fate. But she is gracious, and you have come bearing a kingly gift. And at this, she produces the wand from her robes and holds it out in her hand. She says to you that if you undertake a quest on her behalf, she will reverse the magics that were laid upon you and offer you as justice the head of the baker hag that you insulted.
What quest is this?
She tells you must travel into the wilderness, north of the castle, where the foothills begin. You must take this wand, and there speak to one of the great tree spirits, and beseech on her behalf that the wand be refilled. Then you bring it back to her, and she will uphold her end of this bargain.
Very well.
She hands out the wand.
It will be done. Raazu takes it.
Okay. Make a quick note of all the trouble everybody just got themselves into.
Was that the one that I?
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
She just gave it. Oh my gosh.
Well, no, she realized it was empty. Shit for me.
So I helped you. You're welcome.
So here's where we are. Raazu, at some point between now and when you starve to death, you're going to have to travel out into the wilderness with this wand and convene with a tree spirit. Red is out there counting Moakton and buying arrows.
Counting Moakton arrows and rations, yep.
Birdie is desperately looking for somebody to go down into the cellar with him. And Adrex is question mark?
He's boning up on his elf expertise.
I don't get it.
I'm gonna make that joke as many times as it takes.
I'm going to add up some experience for you guys here. Go ahead and... Oh, I guess I should make a straw poll too. I'll make it in this Google tab, which until now just says, how tall are trees? So you guys determine where you want to send some blips to, and I'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll make the numbers go up.
So, who furthered the party's goals today?
I hate to say it, but I think it was Birdie.
Why do you hate to say it?
Because he gave, I out of character, it's great. Like, I love it, but no, I think giving away the wand was actually apparently a really good move.
Yeah.
Like,
It
it was
also
the
causes
only
all
thing.
sorts of trouble.
Well, the reason I did it was because I had a because I like, and you, I think we forgot to tell you about the sister, so that's kind of on us. But I kind of had a sneaking suspicion that that's who she was, and that's why I gave her the.
I just laughed because you blew all the charge of the wand, and as soon as he said what gift it is, like, we're giving her the wand. And that is
See,
exactly
I
what
would
happened.
vote. I would vote for that for badass, but
That was also part of the decision to hand the wand. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I'm done with this. This is no good to me anymore. Here. Why don't you have some of my trash?
Well, like, see, my reasoning was, well, if we give it to the queen, right, maybe she can recharge it and we can get it back later on her. See? Yeah? See?
So yeah, I'm okay with the party goals.
all right. And who was the most creative today?
Hey, so
I'd
what
have to say
happened?
Red because he's the one who managed to figure out that tentacle monster's Achilles heel was slashing damage. Like, he sussed that out pretty good, I'd say.
I mean, I was mostly just trying to keep it from killing me, but yeah, sure.
Okay, what's next?
Badass. Who is badass?
Let's see. What did we do today?
Raazu did tell that Baker Witch to go fuck off.
I was going to give that to intangibles. I was thinking maybe giving
We're slowly starving to death.
the badass to
Well,
Adrex for fighting the tentacle monster. Just like, yeah, axes then.
my vote would be giving it to Red for climbing the tree after Birdie chickened out. Anyway,
It was fine. There wasn't even anything up there.
listen. You did not get threatened to be cooked into a pie. That changes a man or a kobold, anyway.
I still my vote's on Adrex. So, and then finally intangibles. Are we doing that for
I like the Batter Witch.
the Baker Witch? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, intangibles for not letting me have some pie. apparently I was extra amusing today. I'm not trying to be amusing. That's not my goal.
Oh, I was like, I wanted to slap you so hard today.
Why?
That means mission accomplished for you, as far as I'm concerned.
I did what I thought Birdie would do.
Yeah, and that was not what you were supposed to be doing.
Well, to be fair, Birdie thought that was a stupid idea anyway, so he just wasn't going to tell everybody else because y'all are bigger than he is.
All right.
Don't you forget it.
Blips right now, you're level 5. Blips, if you cash them in for XP, are worth 250.
250, okay.
Raazu, I didn't give you any blips this week. None. I hated you. You were terrible. You want to make a case for anything?
Yeah, I spent more time thinking about the party blips than my personal blips. When my anger is roused, I have trouble thinking straight, and I fear I might do something I will regret. She's kind of regretting telling that witch to go fuck off.
Yeah, that's a really, really good good point. Yeah, I should have caught that one for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I take advantage any advantage I can if it will aid my allies, regardless of the consequences. Well, here's this thing that the White Mother is saying, "Hey, I can fix this for you. You just have to do this thing for me."
Now, does that aid your allies, or does that just lift the curse on yourself? How does this aid your allies?
Yeah, fair enough. I'll concede that point.
Okay.
It aids our allies because a Raazu that has to deal with not encumbrance. What's the other one? Exhaustion all the time is no helpful to any of us.
Fair point.
Is that the standard we're holding aid your allies to? Because that could be applied to any selfish act on Rasu's behalf. If Raazu eats her more than her share of the rations, she's more used to you too.
Sorry, Raazu, I tried.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
I didn't spend any blips this week anyway, so
Nodal's
all
not
just
here. Thank God. Adrex, I gave you your aspects. When it comes to combat, nothing less than 110% is worth it. When you saw that you couldn't use piercing weapons against that creature, you got your throwing axes and used them as melee, which I liked. And I gave you your flaw. This sounds like a great idea, because Birdie's like, "Hey, let's steal that guy's map." And you're like, "Yes!" You want to make a case for anything else?
Yeah, I do. My cool friends and I are working to make the world a better place. I need to make sure they don't carry.
I don't know. Birdie got pretty carried away today.
Birdie using the wand to figure, and then immediately giving it to as a token, as a sign of a gesture to the what's her name? And Adrex he didn't want to do that. Adrex did not want to do that, and Red didn't shut him up right away. He was going to say, "Hey, that wand is useless." I just saw him use up all the charges to try and identify.
So, how does that tie into making the world a better place?
Not making the world a better place. I need to make sure my.
So you think that he would have been carried away if he gave the wand away?
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
He was getting carried away, and Adrex did not like that. But no, that's it.
Birdie, I gave you your ideal.
Okay.
Everything for the advancement of the tribe, even if it includes giving away all our magic items. And
Yes.
I gave you your bond. Focus on the little things, because Raazu can't eat. That maybe she can drink cat broth. That's a little thing that I could do. You want to make a case for anything else?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Red, I gave you your flaw. It's often best to do what needs to be done. Explaining to the others would be a waste of time. Specifically for stopping Adrex from stepping in.
Yep.
So just let the wand go. It's not important right now. You want to make a case for anything else?
No, that's good for me.
Okay. We give 1 blip for the most creative solution to a problem this session.
I think we gave that to Red for sussing out the tentacle monster's vulnerability to slashing damage, I guess.
Okay. I didn't have a vulnerability to slashing damage, but any other kind of damage to cut those tendrils would have harmed the person that was engulfed, so...
Yeah. But that's fine.
Okay.
That's...
We give 1
That's
for the
awesome.
assist, who furthered the party's goals the most this session.
We
Pretty
gave
sure
that
actually
one to
ended up
Birdie.
being Birdie.
They didn't. They were very upset about giving it to me as well.
They were upset.
Yeah.
For handing off the
Got you a nice room, at least. Okay. Give 1 blip for being the badass. Who was a badass?
That was Adrex.
Adrex? For
Yeah,
what?
just-
What did he do?
Just
Double axe.
The double axe.
Again.
Just like, okay, swords don't work. This doesn't change my plan at
1 blip for intangibles.
Gave that to Raazu for some reason or another. I think probably telling the witch to fuck off.
Yeah. That was it.
Got lippy with a witch. All right.
Yeah.
And let's check our straw poll here. Birdie looks like the leader of the straw poll.
Why do you people keep voting for me? Stop.
Yes, stop voting for Wendy or Birdie, whoever you are.
Birdie doesn't deserve your love.
Man, I'm amazing. Hush.
Okay, so I'm giving everybody a blip for peacefully interacting with Fjolvar.
Okay.
For not
How much were
immediately
opposed
having
again, say?
250.
So Raazu, you're taking 3. You've got your aspects, you've got the intangibles, and you've got the Fjolvar blip.
Mm-hmm.
Adrex looking like 5. For the bond, aspect, flaw, badass, and Fjolvar. Birdie, it's looking also like 5. I've got ideal, bond, assist, straw pull, and Fjolvar. And red, I've got 3 blips. Flaw,
Yep.
creative, and Fjolvar. So those are your blips. Encounter XP, everybody gets 87 experience points for the crabs that you killed, and then 8, and then paid for.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody takes 275 experience for the Frost Veil. And my notes say, if the first round of this combat makes it look like it's going to be too easy, there were 2 Frost Veils in the room. But it didn't look like that encounter was going to be too easy.
Oh, is that the tentacle monster?
Yeah, I couldn't find a
Okay.
good picture of it. But yeah, it's basically just spider webs made of ice that have a fly speed and crazy damage.
Yeah.
essentially. All right, that brings us to the end of the session here. So next week we have stuff to finish tying up in the Feywild, and you guys will either escape the clutches of the Snowbelle Queen or die trying. Either way, it's going to be amusing for me.
again.
Again.
I'm trying again.
Well, for real this time.
Yeah.
This is your last attempt. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We'll be back next Sunday for more of this.
More of this BS.